Okay, hey there YouTube. Today I'm going to show you in this video what usually, if you have one of these blowers that looks like this, in this design. I know a bunch of brands make them, Craftsman, Poulan, this one's a Craftsman, and other brands make them, Homelight, Weed Eater, all of them. Husqvarna even makes one like this, I think. But this is a Craftsman 205 mile blower back I have right here, and I'm going to show you today in this video what usually goes wrong with these. About 99% of them that I get into my shop to repair, the cylinder head is loose, and you can tell by this piece right here. Well, you can tell because the carburetor mount is loose. So the way to tell is, what you're going to do first is remove this air cleaner cover. It's 2 screws. I already did diagnose this, and I know that is this problem. So put that to the side. Remove the carburetor. 2 more screws. These are hex screws. Carburetor will come out. Well, take the screws out. Put them off to the side, and now your carburetor will come out. Take it off its gas lines, and then put your carburetor to the side. Now you have this here, and to see if your head is loose, all you need to do is shake this, and mine is very loose. So I know that my cylinder head is loose. So what I'm going to need to do is take off this shroud, the muffler housing, the shroud, handle, and get into the engine. So I'll do that now. It's screw there, one screw there, one screw there, one screw there, screw there, screw there, screws, 3 screws there, and maybe a few more. There's one there. But just take all those screws out, and you should be able to take it apart. Okay, now that the muffler shroud is off, you can just see how loose that cylinder head actually is. See that is not supposed to move like that, and now since that is like that, when you turn it over, it's not going to have much compression, and it's just not going to start like it is. We'll also need to take off this muffler to remove the shroud. Just 2 screws in here. Now you can take off the top shroud like I did here, and tighten up the 4 screws in here. There's one on each side, so this is tightened down. You can take the other housing off and just take the whole motor out, and then tighten up the 4 screws. Take the gas tank out too. Now when you have your head tightened, just make sure it doesn't wiggle around at all anymore, and just pull the pull rope a little bit. Make sure it has good compression. While you have your muffler off, it's a good idea to inspect the piston, and just look in there, make sure there's no scoring on it. This one looks pretty good. Look in the other side too, make sure there's no scoring on that side also, which there shouldn't be, and there isn't. And if your pull rope if there's anything wrong with your pull rope, you can replace that while you have it all out, and then just put it back together, and it should run good. So let's put it back together now. Start by inserting the engine into the main blower housing piece. Make sure this little piece right here is in its place, as well as this one here, and the one back here. Make sure the engine is just all in the right place. Next, you can put the intake manifold back on the other side, so that the engine won't fall out of this blower housing now. Now you can put the gas tank assembly back how it came out. Just make sure those, actually while you have it out, it would be a good idea to replace these lines if they look like they're going to break in the future. And that's what I'm going to do right now. Just Actually, this little one I'm going to leave in. It looks better than the other one. What I'm going to do is just replace the big line. All you have to do is pull this out. I decided just to replace both because even the little one, even though it looked better, it was broken on the end. So I'll just replace that. Now what you're going to need to do is go find those sizes. If you have to go to your mower shop, just bring the old lines and tell them what you need. I have them in stock, so I'll just get them real fast. Just measure out the sizes you need from your old line and cut it. Now I have my 2 smaller pieces of fuel line from all my fuel line there. And what you're going to want to do is cut little 45-degree angles on the end of those fuel lines. It makes it easier to put them back in, like that. And now get your fuel tank. The holes are on the top. And it shouldn't be too hard to put your new line in as long as it's the right size. The smaller one going in the hole in the back, and the larger one going in the front. Just twist them and push at the same time until they go somewhat in. Then you can get some pliers and pull them the rest of the way through. The big line only needs to go about 1.5 inches down, and the small line goes about halfway down, and then connect it to your fuel filter, which I have off to the side, and it came off the old line. Okay, now I got my 2 new lines in there with my filter attached inside the tank. And now I can put my gas tank back. Make sure your lines go through that little hole in there. So we'll put them in. And you just put your tank up. I'll do that off. Now you can go to the other side and put your gas tank cap on so the tank doesn't fall out. Put this little fuel line grommet thing on here. It goes in there. Just put the fuel lines through it and put it back. Now you can take your handle, put it back where it goes. Right up here. Actually, that's backwards. Alright, like that. Now put your other blower housing on. Now put some of the screws back in just so it holds together while you put the muffler back on. Now you can put your muffler back on. Make sure that you put the gasket back on first. It goes like that, and then you just put the muffler on with the 2 screws. If you want, make sure your spark arrestor screen is pretty clean. All that is take off these 2 Phillips screws right here and just look inside. I take off that cover, and this model actually doesn't have a spark arrestor screen for some reason. Most 2-cycle engines will, and then sometimes those get clogged with carbon. This one, I guess, just make sure all the holes are clean, and if you blow through on this side, that air does come out this side, and if it does, then it should be clean. And just put it back together and put it back on the blower. Now you can put your muffler cover back on. It just goes right here, like that, and it's just 2 screws at the bottom. I'll put this piece back on. Now we can turn it around, put our carburetor assembly back on. First, starting with hooking up the fuel lines to the carburetor. With this carburetor, the bigger one goes on the top and the smaller on the bottom. Then just put your carburetor back on how it should be, with that piece going first, with the 2 screws, then that piece. Like that, and then you can just screw it back in. Now the air cleaner cover goes right over here. Sorry, the air cleaner, not the air cleaner cover. This is the air cleaner cover. It goes right on top. And then you can just screw those in. Then you can fill up your gas tank. Give it a bunch of primes so that it fills up the carburetor. Put it to choke on low throttle. Pull it a few times until it fires. Put it to half choke and let it warm up, then put it to run. Let's see how it works.